So let's dive even deeper into the controversy. Was Dhankhar's resignation voluntary, or was he simply eased out? Was this some kind of a hit job on him? Is health a cover for the real reason? Is the resignation row an embarrassment for the Modi government? Who will be the next vice president? I want to be joined by Ashutosh, journalist, politician, now political analyst, tracks the BJP RSS closely. Rajat Sethi, political commentator, has worked closely with the BJP. Anilesh Mahajan, deputy editor, India Today, covers the BJP RSS for us. Let's go to each of them to find out Andar ki khabar. Ashutosh, you first, because you've been stirring it up. I saw you on Aaj Tak claiming that this is a fight within the BJP and Dhankhar has become a fall guy. Let's be honest, does anybody really know, except for Modi Shah, what happens in this government?
See, Rajdeep, as I told to Aaj Tak yesterday only, that 3-4 days back, I was meeting with someone who was important enough. And I was told then that Mr. Dhankhar was very, very upset with the behavior of a few leaders in the party. And one of the leaders had really insulted him. That's what he felt. And his ego was very, very bruised. And I could say that he was literally in tears. That's what I was communicated and conveyed. The issue was, I was really surprised at what has happened, because Mr. Dhankhar has always been very kind to the government, and he was doing what was required from him, was asked to do. So what was the reason that why he felt so insulted? Or somebody had really scolded him, or somebody had really told him not to do something, or ask him to do something which he didn't want to do. So
no, you're claiming someone insulted. You're claiming someone insulted Jagdeep Dhankhar within the government. Someone who Jagdeep Dhankhar has always batted for this government.
That's what I was told. That's what I was told. I didn't want to name my source, but I was very confident that this is exactly happened with him, and I'm very confident about it. That there's no two opinions about it. So, but I thought it might be having some small. It's a small incident somewhere else. But yesterday when I got to know that he has resigned, then I connected the doc. I could feel that something must have been festering for a very, very long time.
So you're saying he was forced out? You're saying he was forced out?
I think so. I think so, because for the simple reason, if he was so upset and he felt so insulted, so intimidated, then obviously he had all the reasons to resign. But then he chose not to resign before the parliament session began. He chose to resign when the parliament, on a very first day itself, conducted throughout, let Mallikarjun Kharge say whatever he wanted to say, and then by late night he resigned. So something has happened between 4:30 and 9. Either he was asked to resign, or created a situation where he had no other option than to resign. So I feel that probably he was asked to resign, and he was left with no option than to resign.
Rajat Sethi, what's your sense? Remember, as I keep saying and prefacing this, nobody really knows what happens in this government except the big two. Do you go along with what Ashutosh says, that Jagdeep Dhankhar was forced to resign, or a situation was created where he had no option but to resign?
See, I don't think, Rajdeep ji, there is any end to what these so-called sources, quote-unquote sources, are talking since the past 24 hours. But a lot of sources apparently, and none of that which can be quoted or corroborated, have been talking about the plausible reasons behind this resignation. One thing is sure, that Prime Minister's tweet was terse, and that's the only sort of dot. And if you want to create a story out of that dot, it's up to you. But I believe that it was something where, either the relationship would have gone bad. And it's just like a cricketing analogy. If it's a 5-day test match, but even a session goes wrong, it can affect the overall momentum.
But what went wrong? What went wrong? You see, the question is the general speculation is Mr. Dhankhar was taking a very aggressive stand on the judiciary. And that had become an embarrassment for the government. The government did not want this tug of war to go beyond the point. And Mr. Dhankhar was determined to take on the judiciary. Do you believe in that line of thinking, Rajat?
So you have to contextualize what the previous vice president was doing, with the fact that even certain questions, 12 to 13 questions, were referred by the Honorable President to the Supreme Court to ponder over. And those are absolutely fundamental questions. I believe this entire conversations or conflict, public conflict started when the Honorable Supreme Court made this assertion that there is a time-bound manner in which the president can or the governor can give a comment on a ruling or a state assembly's law which has been promulgated by the assembly. That in itself was an overreach. And I believe very pertinent, very deeply constitutionally pertinent questions were raised. And I believe ever since that, it was the Vice President Dhankar who has been questioning those things, that there has to be checks and balances on the judiciary, and the three wings, the legislature, executive, and judiciary, have to work in tandem. It cannot be that one institution is judge, executioner, and everything in one, right, all baked in one. And he kept saying this. I don't find it problematic. And I don't see BJP having issue with that. I think it's more around certain other things. It could also be triggered around the fact that while Lok Sabha had already taken the matter of Justice Verma's case, why would on the same day would Rajya Sabha also go out and take it? See, BJP wants to run a tight ship in terms of narrative and everything. Any kind of a slippage is something that Prime Minister doesn't like. He wants to ensure that everything is prim and proper and followed through the set of basic expectations that is there from public offices. We should also understand that the head of the executive is the Prime Minister, and of course there are constitutional positions of the President and the Vice President which have to largely follow the line that the cabinet is asserting. That's how our framers of the Constitution have framed it. There is very little, extremely little leeway that is left for the Vice President and the presidential office in our country. That's the state of affairs. If you want to go out and question the working of the government, you are already on a slippery track, in my opinion.
Okay, so Mr. Dhankar, in a way, had some believe decided to go out on a limb in taking on the judiciary. Anilesh, your view, you have the inside track. Is this linked to some kind of power play? What was Dhankar? How did Dhankar suddenly become adversarial to a government that he was always praising all the time?
Rajiv, the little we could gather, we all are, trying to join the dots which are available in the public domain and try to build a story around it. Whereas all the stakeholders which had played a part in building up the story are silent. So whatever.
No, why are they silent? Tell me, Anilesh, why are they silent? If the government, Dhankar doesn't get a farewell, there is no, even the Prime Minister's message is very terse. I wish him good health, but nothing more beyond that. Suddenly, the government doesn't want to talk about Jagdeep Dhankhar. Why?
See, Rajiv, we all have to understand that BJP is going through a lot of churn. They have to select a new president. Then they also have to resolve what is happening in Uttar Pradesh. And suddenly you see that, and cabinet reshuffle is also probably on cards. And suddenly you see that, Vice President resigns, and which they were not expecting. And they may have been contemplating that he may react, or, there would be some delays in meetings. But they had not anticipated that,
No, you're making an important point. You're claiming, contrary to what many others, you're saying this government did not anticipate Mr. Dhankar would resign so abruptly. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. You just see, BJP is very, very neat and tidy when they, decide on who to get which position and what sort of caste equation, regional equation you build. And suddenly, very important constitutional position becomes vacant. Now you have to rethink, the whole equation. And now you have to bring in some senior leader with a repute at this position. And that BJP had not anticipated. This I
Very
can...
interesting what you're saying.
I can tell you, from an authority that people told me since morning that they had not anticipated that this type of reaction would come from Mr. Dhankar.
Okay, so maybe...
we also have to see Mr. Dhankar was part of schemes. Not only while joining the office of a vice president, but also when he was governor. And before that, he was very crucial part when he, played a very crucial role in resolving the Ram Janmabhoomi issue. So he was part of scheme of things. So he was not somebody who was an outsider. He had good equation with top leaders in RSS. Sometimes he also played role in, bridging things. So his reaction, nobody had anticipated.
Interesting. reaction no one had anticipated that runs contrary to what Ashutosh seems to suggest. But I just want to play what Jagdeep Dhankhar said on the farmer issue, because one of the issues along with the judiciary that Mr. Dhankhar was pushing was the issue of the need to address farmers' concerns. He's a Jat, remember, and the Jat farmers were the one who had led the farmers' agitation. And he said this in front of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the agriculture minister. Listen in.
और हमें सबको जानकारी होनी चाहिए कि क्या किसान से कोई वादा किया गया था। माननीय कृषि मंत्री जी, आपसे पहले जो कृषि मंत्री जी थे, क्या उन्होंने लिखित में कोई वादा किया था? यदि वादा किया था तो उसका क्या हुआ? कैन वी क्रिएट अ बाउंड्री बिटवीन द फार्मर एंड द गवर्नमेंट? माननीय कृषि मंत्री जी, थोड़ी पीड़ा है, मेरे लिए चिंतन और चिंता का विषय है। अब तक ये पहल क्यों नहीं हुई? आप कृषि कल्याण ग्रामीण विकास के मंत्री हैं। मुझे याद आती है सरदार पटेल की, उनका जो उत्तरदायित्व था देश में एकता करने का, कैसे उन्होंने बेखूबी किया। ऐसी चुनौती आज आपके सामने है, इसको भारत की एकता से कम मत मानिए।
Ashutosh, here you have Mr. Dhankhar sort of taking on, if I may use the word, Shivraj Singh Chauhan on the farmers issue. Do you believe, as Anilesh says, that look, Mr. Dhankhar was very much part of the RSS BJP ecosystem. He's not someone who was an outsider in that sense. So when you say that he was angry, he was insulted, what is it that, what would insult Jagdeep Dhankhar? Some are saying that when the US Vice President J.D. Vance came to India last month, Mr. Dhankhar was not allowed as per protocol to host him, even though he's the Vice President of India. Is there something more to all of this than meets the eye? When you say that he was insulted, you've got to give a damn good reason for it.
See, Rajdeep, I beg to differ with my friend Anilesh. BJP is a cadre-based party. And in a cadre-based party, there are certain minimum discipline which is required from the BJP ministers and BJP leaders. And that is part of their DNA, because they are trained to believe and behave in certain manner. A dedicated RSS worker at the BJP cadre would not have behaved the way Dhankhar has behaved with Shivraj Singh Chauhan. In terms of stature, Mr. Dhankhar might have been a vice president, but Shivraj Singh Chauhan is a far more senior leader and far more experienced leader and carries far greater influence in the party itself. So the publicly saying something like this, that means Mr. Dhankhar is still carrying his socialistic streak, for which socialist party and the leaders are known world over. And that is why they could not remain one but broken into the many parts. The fact of the matter is that he was an outsider, tried to be insider, but failed miserably. This very statement which you had shown proves that point. The last point, Rajdeep, I want to make, I was just checking. I believe that Rajnath Singh is the most affable, most sociable leader in the party. Even he had not tweeted. Through Twitter, he has not inquired anything about Mr. Dhankhar's health. And my information goes, none of the BJP leader, none of the BJP ministers had gone and inquired with a bouquet or a basket of fruits. That means there was a total breakdown of relationship between the Dhankhar party and the ministry and the cabinet and the prime minister.
Now, many believe, of course, that one of the main reasons, if there is to be a breakdown, was also Jagdeep Dhankhar taking on the judiciary, as I keep repeating, particularly Justice Verma's case. The government also reportedly wants Justice Verma impeached, but Jagdeep Dhankhar wants to lead the charge. Listen to what he said about the cash haul at the judge's residence a few months ago.
There was cash haul at the residence of a judge in large quantum. I say so because it is now in public domain, officially put up by the Supreme Court, that are the residence, official residence of a judge of the Supreme Court, so judge of the High Court, cash in large amount was found.
You know, he keeps referring to this issue, Rajat. Do you believe that Jagdeep Dhankhar is someone who crossed in the Modi-Shah government? Can any other individual be seen to be taking on the system apart from the big two? Is that part of the problem that Jagdeep Dhankhar became almost larger than the post that he held as vice president?
I think forget about Prime Minister Modi or the Home Minister in this case. If it is any political party, they would want a degree of control over what is being said, and especially if you're on the Treasury bench side. I don't see that you replace this with the UPA or with the previous governments. Whenever anybody tries to move out of line, it creates discomfort. And here it is Prime Minister Modi who explicitly has said it multiple times that he wants to ensure that the communication side is controlled properly so that no stray comments come in and unnecessarily derails the overall discourse. That has happened with multiple members of parliament and they have paid the cost. He does not want people to speak out of turn. And I believe that since the president, also the chair of Rajya Sabha, is largely an outcome of this political churning that has happened over the 10 years. And he cannot stand out and say things. I mean, what he said against Shivrajji, this is not even the platform to do that. And there was an outreach. By any means, there was one. And with regards to judiciary, I mean, again, I'm contemplating, not that I am privy to anything insider, but all I can sense is that this will create unease. Look at what is happening in the Congress party. If today a Shashi Tharoor goes in and makes comments, it makes huge amount of discomfort even with the Congress setup. That's how parties are. That's how the system operates. And this is why even the letter that has been written by Jagdish, by Dhankarji will leave gaps between the words. The tweet that Prime Minister has written has left gap between his words, what he has written. And those would be for next several years and decades for us to parse and analysts to think about it, what went, what not went. But this is how the powers have spoken. And it is up to analysts now to decipher it, and this is going to carry on for some time now.
You know, the silence, of course, makes it even more difficult, and it only leads to more speculation. But Anilesh, a final word to you. Who will replace Jagdeep Dhankhar? If you are a betting man, and I'm not sure you are, is there 1, 2, 3? Lots of names are doing the round. Someone even suggested Shashi Tharoor, not realizing perhaps the way the BJP functions. Who do you think? 1, 2, 3. Rajnath Singh ka naam chal raha hai, kai naam chal rahe hai.
Rajiv, one thing I have learned while tracking RSS and BJP, that don't guess. Because there is a lot of consultation these guys do, a lot of thinking goes behind it. And right now they are in a state of shock. They haven't made any panel. And they just want to understand how the cabinet reshuffle and BJP's national president and UP thing gets sorted. And there they will pick a piece. And maybe, in 15 days' time, we'll get to know that in which direction BJP is thinking and RSS is thinking.
So you could even have a compromise, a BJP president of one type and a vice president of another. Some kind of a compromise could well be arrived at. But that will be the next big question. Kaun banega Uprashtrapati? But to all my guests for joining us and giving us a sense of the mystery surrounding Jagdeep Dhankhar. Clearly, this was not about health. That's becoming clearer by the day. Dal mein kuch kala hai ya kuch to tinka hai, whatever they would like to say in this particular case. Thank you all very much for joining me.